The Indian bureaucracy, often referred to as the steel frame of the country, plays a crucial role in the administration and governance of India. It is a legacy of British colonial rule, but it has evolved into a complex and multifaceted institution that is central to the functioning of the world's largest democracy. The term Babu, a colloquial expression in India, is often used to refer to bureaucrats, particularly those in administrative roles. Over time, the term has come to embody both respect and criticism depending on the context in which it is used. This essay aims to provide an in-depth understanding of the Indian bureaucracy, its structure, functioning, and the role of Babus within it. We will explore the historical origins of the Indian bureaucracy, its evolution post-independence, and the challenges it faces today. Additionally, we will examine the public perception of bureaucrats and the criticisms often leveled against them, as well as the reforms and changes needed to make the Indian bureaucracy more efficient, transparent, and accountable. Let's first go over the historical origins of the Indian bureaucracy. The Indian bureaucracy has its roots in the British colonial administration, which established a highly centralized and hierarchical system of governance in India. The British introduced the Indian Civil Service (ICS) in 1858, following the transfer of power from the East India Company to the British Crown after the Indian Rebellion of 1857. The ICS was designed to administer the vast territories of the British Raj and to ensure that British interests were upheld throughout the subcontinent. The ICS was characterized by its rigid hierarchical structure, with a small cadre of British officers occupying the top positions. These officers were responsible for implementing British policies, maintaining law and order, and collecting revenue. Indian officers who were initially excluded from the higher echelons of the services were gradually admitted into the ICS in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. However, they remained subordinate to their British counterparts. The legacy of the ICS continued to influence the Indian administrative system even after independence in 1947. Upon independence, the ICS was transformed into the Indian Administrative Service (IAS), which remains the premier civil service in India today. The IAS, along with other All India services such as the Indian Police Service (IPS) and the Indian Forest Service (IFS), forms the backbone of the Indian bureaucracy. Now, the structure and functioning of the Indian bureaucracy. The Indian bureaucracy is a vast and complex organization with a multi-tiered structure that operates at the central, state, and local levels. It is responsible for implementing government policies, maintaining law and order, and delivering public services. The bureaucracy is divided into various services, each with specific functions and responsibilities. First, the All India services. The All India services, which include the Indian Administrative Service (IAS), the Indian Police Service (IPS), and the Indian Forest Service (IFS), are the most prestigious and sought-after branches of the Indian bureaucracy. Officers of these services are recruited through a highly competitive examination conducted by the Union Public Service Commission (UPSC). They are appointed by the President of India and can be employed by both the central and state governments. Indian Administrative Service (IAS) is the premier civil service of India and plays a key role in the administration of the country. IAS officers hold positions of authority and responsibility in various government departments and ministries. They are involved in policy formulation, implementation, and administration at both the central and state levels. IAS officers often serve as district collectors, secretaries to government departments, and heads of public sector enterprises. Then there is Indian Police Service (IPS), which is responsible for maintaining law and order in the country. IPS officers are involved in the administration of the police force at both the central and state levels. They oversee crime prevention, investigation, and law enforcement. IPS officers also play a key role in maintaining internal security and combating terrorism. Then we go on to Indian Forest Service (IFS). The IFS is responsible for the management and conservation of India's forest resources. IFS officers work in various capacities within the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, as well as in state forest departments. They are involved in the implementation of policies related to forest conservation, wildlife protection, and environmental sustainability. Then we come on to central services and state services. In addition to the All India services, the Indian bureaucracy also includes the central services and state services. Officers of the central services work in various departments and ministries of the central government, while state services officers are employed by the state governments. The central services are further divided into groups, Group A, B, C and D services, with Group A being the highest ranking. Group A officers work in key departments such as the Indian Revenue Services (IRS), the Indian Foreign Service (IFS), the Indian Audit and Account Service (IA and AS), and the Indian Postal Service (IPOS). These officers are responsible for administering specific functions at the central level such as tax collection, foreign relations, auditing government accounts, and managing the postal system. State services. State services officers work within administrative structure of the state governments. They are responsible for implementing state policies, managing public services, and maintaining law and order within the state. State services include the Provincial Civil Services (PCS), the State Police Services, and the State Forest Services. While the selection process for state services is similar to that of the All India services, the recruitment is conducted by the respective state public service commissions. The role of Babus in Indian bureaucracy. The term Babu is commonly used in India to refer to government officials, particularly those in administrative roles. The origin of the term is rooted in the Bengali word Babu, which was used as an honorific title for educated and respectable men during the British colonial period. Over time, the term has evolved to refer specifically to bureaucrats, especially those working in government offices. The role of Babus in the Indian bureaucracy is multifaceted. They are responsible for the day-to-day administration of government policies, the implementation of development programs, and the delivery of public services. Babus serve as the link between the government and the public, ensuring that the directives of the elected representatives are carried out effectively. Now let's go over the responsibilities and duties of bureaucrats. First is policy implementation. Bureaucrats play a critical role in translating government policies into actionable programs and initiatives. Once a policy is formulated by the government, it is the responsibility of the bureaucrats to implement it on ground. This involves planning, coordination, resource allocation, and monitoring to ensure that the objectives of the policy are achieved. Then, administration of public services. One of the primary functions of the Indian bureaucracy is the administration of public services such as healthcare, education, public distribution, sanitation, and transportation. Bureaucrats are responsible for managing these services, ensuring their effective delivery and addressing any issues or grievances that may arise. Law and order. Maintaining law and order is a key responsibility of the bureaucracy, particularly the Indian Police Service (IPS). Bureaucrats in law enforcement agencies are tasked with preventing and investigating crimes, maintaining public order, and ensuring the safety and security of citizens. Then, regulation and enforcement. Bureaucrats are also responsible for enforcing laws and regulations related to various sectors such as industry, environment, health, and labor. They ensure compliance with government regulations and take action against any violations. Revenue collection. Bureaucrats, particularly those in IRS, are responsible for the collection of taxes and revenue for the government. They oversee the administration of direct and indirect taxes such as income tax, goods and service tax, and custom duties. Disaster management. In times of natural disasters or emergencies, bureaucrats play a crucial role in coordinating relief and rehabilitation efforts. They work in collaboration with various government agencies, NGOs, and the private sector to provide assistance to affected communities. Now, what is the public perception of bureaucrats and the criticism around the whole thing? The public perception of bureaucrats in India is a complex and often contradictory. On one hand, bureaucrats are respected for their authority, knowledge, and role in governance. On the other hand, they are frequently criticized for inefficiency, corruption, and a lack of accountability. The positive perceptions, let's check them out first. Professionalism and expertise. Bureaucrats are often seen as professionals with expertise in their respective fields. They are responsible for providing continuity and stability in governance, regardless of changes in the political leadership. Their knowledge and experience are invaluable in policy formulation and implementation. Dedication and service. Many bureaucrats are recognized for their dedication to public service and their commitment to improving the lives of citizens. Successful implementation of government programs and initiatives, particularly in areas such as education, healthcare, and rural development, is often attributed to the hard work and perseverance of bureaucrats. Crisis management. Bureaucrats are often praised for their role in managing crises and emergencies, whether it is coordinating relief efforts during a natural disaster or ensuring the smooth conduct of elections. Bureaucrats are seen as reliable and capable of handling challenging situations. Now, the juicy part: criticism and negative perceptions. Bureaucratic red tape, right? One of the most common criticisms of the Indian bureaucracy is the prevalence of bureaucratic red tape, which refers to the excessive regulation, paperwork, and formal procedures that can hinder decision making and the implementation of policies. This often leads to delays, inefficiency, and frustration for both citizens and businesses. Corruption. It's a significant issue within the Indian bureaucracy, and it has profound impact on public trust in government institutions. Instances of bribery, favoritism, and misuse of power are frequently reported, leading to the perception that the bureaucracy is self-serving and disconnected from the needs of the people. Lack of accountability. Bureaucrats in India often enjoy a high degree of job security. That is why everybody wants to work in the government, right? so this can sometimes lead to a lack of accountability. The absence of a robust system for evaluating the performance of bureaucrats and holding them accountable for their actions contributes to the perception of bureaucratic inefficiency. Elitism and arrogance. The hierarchical nature of the Indian bureaucracy has sometimes led to perceptions of elitism and arrogance among bureaucrats. This comes from personal experience. I have worked with people in the government. I have worked with income tax department, worked with them on a project for 2 years, and they reek of elitism and arrogance. It's of the worst kind. The term Babu is often used pejoratively to describe officials who are perceived as aloof, unresponsive, or indifferent to the concerns of ordinary citizens. Resistance to change. The Indian bureaucracy is often criticized for being resistant to change and innovation. The rigid hierarchical structure, coupled with a preference for maintaining the status quo, can stifle creativity and hinder the adoption of new ideas and approaches. Now, what are the reforms and the way forward? Given the criticisms and challenges faced by the Indian bureaucracy, there have been ongoing discussions and efforts to reform the system to make it more efficient, transparent, and accountable. Several key areas of reform have been identified. Administrative reforms, simplification of procedures, reducing bureaucratic red tape, and simplifying administrative procedures is essential to improving efficiency and responsiveness. This can be achieved through the use of technology, process re-engineering, and reducing the number of approvals and clearances required for various tasks. Decentralization. Empowering local governments and decentralizing decision making can lead to more effective governance. By delegating more authority and resources to local levels, the bureaucracy can be more responsive to the needs and concerns of citizens. Performance evaluation. Implementing a robust system for evaluating the performance of bureaucrats is crucial for ensuring accountability. Performance-based incentives and penalties can motivate bureaucrats to improve their efficiency and effectiveness. Anti-corruption measures, transparency and accountability. Ensuring greater transparency in government processes and decision-making can help reduce corruption. The implementation of the Right to Information (RTI) Act in 2005 was a significant step in this direction, allowing citizens to access information about government activities. Whistleblower protection. Protecting whistleblowers who expose corruption and wrongdoing within the bureaucracy is essential for encouraging transparency and accountability. Strengthening legal protections for whistleblowers can help create a culture of integrity within the bureaucracy. E-governance. The use of digital platforms for the delivery of public services can reduce opportunities for corruption by minimizing direct interactions between citizens and bureaucrats. E-governance initiatives such as online payment systems and digital record keeping can enhance transparency and efficiency. Training and capacity building. Continuous training. Providing continuous training and capacity building opportunities for bureaucrats can help them stay updated with the latest developments in their fields. This can also encourage innovation and the adoption of best practices. Leadership development. Developing leadership skills among bureaucrats is essential for effective governance. Training programs that focus on leadership, decision making, and ethical governance can help build a cadre of bureaucrats who are not only competent but also visionary and committed to public service. Citizen engagement. Public participation. Encouraging greater public participation in governance can enhance the accountability and responsiveness of the bureaucracy. Mechanisms such as public consultations, citizen feedback, and social audits can help ensure that the voices of citizens are heard and considered in the decision-making process. Grievance redressal. Strengthening grievance redressal mechanisms can help address the concerns of citizens more effectively. A responsive and accessible grievance redressal system can build public trust in the bureaucracy and ensure that issues are resolved in a timely manner. In conclusion, the Indian bureaucracy, with its rich history and significant role in governance, remains a vital institution in the functioning of the country. However, it is also an institution that faces numerous challenges, including inefficiency, corruption, and a lack of accountability. The term Babu, once a mark of respect, has come to symbolize both the strengths and weaknesses of the Indian bureaucracy. To ensure that the Indian bureaucracy continues to serve the needs of the people effectively, it is imperative to undertake comprehensive reforms that address these challenges. By simplifying procedures, enhancing transparency, building capacity, and engaging citizens, the bureaucracy can become more efficient, responsive, and accountable. Ultimately, the goal of these reforms should be to transform the Indian bureaucracy into a more dynamic and citizen-centric institution, one that upholds the principle of good governance and works towards the betterment of society. Only then can the term Babu once again be associated with respect and admiration, reflecting the true spirit of public service in India.